akukho umuntu ozomasha la ngomhlaka-30 ayikho maphoyisa ayikho imashi ngomhlaka-30 ngomhlaka-30 mnqamlajuqu wokuthi kufanele uhulumeni kube kukhona sekwenzile uma engakaqedi ngowethu uhulumeni sizomlinda lapha eBay yimi enganquma umhlaka-30 lapha eBay ayikho imashi ngomhlaka-30 abantu uma befuna ukuphuma bephatha amaflag abo bekhombisa isupport bethandaza becela uNkulunkulu ukuthi izwe kalilunge ngingajabula-ke nihambele nje umuntu ayishuthele ividiyo yakhe noma nayishuthele ividiyo yakhe noma nayishuthele ividiyo yakhe ngisho ungaliboni ikwele fana lambe kudanasa la kuniyeke utshelwa yimina.
A march that was meant to shake the streets on June 30th has suddenly been called off, and what replaced it is not silence, but something even more confusing. A call for flags, videos, and loyalty messages instead of boots on the ground. And in situations like this, when a public protest vanishes overnight and turns into a controlled online campaign, the first question that always rises is not what we are being told, but what we are not being told. Because in South Africa's current climate of tension, anger, and political pressure, cancellations like this don't just happen out of nowhere. They land like a stone in still water, and the ripples often reveal more than the announcement itself. And now people are asking hard questions. Was this a strategic retreat? Was there pressure behind closed doors? Or is there something deeper happening that the public is not being allowed to see yet? If you are watching this closely, stay tuned and make sure you are subscribed, because stories like this don't just end with announcements. They evolve, they shift, and sometimes the truth only surfaces when the noise dies down. But here is where things begin to get uncomfortable. Phakel'umthakathi, a figure who has been publicly associated with mobilizing supporters around a planned march on June 30th, has now officially told his supporters that the march will not go ahead. Instead, he is urging people to take a different route. Hold up the South African flag. Record short videos. Send them directly to him as a show of unity and support. On the surface, it sounds like a peaceful pivot, a move away from confrontation and towards symbolic expression. He has also publicly urged supporters not to attack or confront foreign nationals, stressing that the government must be given space to respond to the concerns being raised. But here's the part that immediately changed the tone of the entire situation. He added that if the government does not act, a new date for a future march will be announced. And just like that, what looked like a cancellation suddenly became a pause. Not an ending, a delay, a repositioning. And this is where the questions start multiplying faster than the answers. Because why cancel a march that had already gained momentum? Why shift from physical mobilization to digital participation at the last minute? And why now? To understand this properly, we need to go back. The original call for the June 30th march did not emerge in a vacuum. It came out of a growing wave of frustration among certain groups of supporters who believe their concerns around foreign nationals, unemployment, and service pressure have not been addressed by authorities. The messaging around the march quickly gained traction online, spreading through social platforms and community networks where emotions were already running high. Supporters framed it as a peaceful demonstration. Critics warned it could escalate tensions. And observers began watching closely, especially given South Africa's history with protests that begin peacefully, but sometimes spiral into conflict when different groups converge. For days, anticipation built. Videos circulated. Messages were shared. Some people prepared physically to attend. Others prepared politically to counter it. The tension was real, even before a single person stepped into the streets. And then, unexpectedly, everything changed. The announcement came that the march would not take place. No gradual scaling down. No negotiation update. No visible compromise process. Just a sudden shift from mobilization to cancellation, followed immediately by a new directive. Send videos instead. And this is the part few people are talking about. Because when a movement shifts from physical protest to controlled digital participation, it raises questions about coordination, pressure, and influence. Who benefits from that shift? Who requested it? And what changed behind the scenes in the hours or days before the announcement? Some supporters have reacted with confusion, others with disappointment. And a smaller group has begun asking whether something happened behind closed doors that the public is not being told. Was there pressure from authorities warning of consequences if the march proceeded? Was there internal disagreement within the movement itself? Or is this a tactical repositioning designed to avoid confrontation while maintaining influence? And then comes the most sensitive question being whispered across social platforms. Did something or someone influence the decision to step back? It is important to be clear here. There is no verified evidence of bribery, coercion, or criminal interference in this decision. But in environments like this, public perception often moves faster than official clarification. What makes this situation even more complex is the timing. South Africa has been dealing with heightened sensitivity around protests and public gatherings. Authorities have repeatedly warned about maintaining order during demonstrations, while activist groups argue their voices are being restricted. So when a march is canceled abruptly, it becomes part of a larger national debate about protest rights and political pressure. But here is where things get even more interesting. Instead of dispersing supporters, Phakel'umthakathi redirected them into a digital campaign, flags, videos, and messages of unity. To supporters, it looks peaceful. But analysts say it also keeps momentum alive while removing the risk of street confrontation. And that raises a difficult question. Is this truly a cancellation or a transformation of strategy? Because movements rarely disappear. They evolve. Sometimes into advocacy campaigns, sometimes into political pressure tools, and sometimes into something far more calculated. Public reaction has been divided. Some say it shows responsibility. Others say it feels like a sudden backtrack. Critics argue it may signal pressure from somewhere unseen, while supporters insist it is simply a peaceful adjustment. Government voices have remained mostly silent on the specific cancellation, only repeating calls for calm and lawful expression. And that silence is fueling even more speculation. Because when official answers are missing, narratives fill the gap. But what happens next is still unclear. Phakel'umthakathi has already said that if the government does not respond, a new March date will be announced. That means this is not over, it is only paused. And in that pause lies the real tension. Because the next move from any side could change the direction of this entire story. Until then, the questions remain open.